All right, hi 333. This is the lesson for April 24th. This is our second day of doing absolute value inequalities. All right, so I'm just going to do one of the ones up at the top because it's just like what we did yesterday. So I'm going to rewrite my two equations. It's going to be m minus 2 is less than 8, and m minus 2 is greater than negative 8. All right, draw my river, plus 2 on both sides. I get m is less than 10. Draw my river, do plus 2 on both sides. I get m is greater than negative 6. All right, so I'm going to draw my circle at 10 and draw my circle at negative 6. Because it's the numbers that are smaller than 10, I'm going to be going to the left. And because it's the numbers that are bigger than negative 6, I'm going to go to the right, which means it's going to end up just covering that middle part. So it's going to be m is less than 10, and because it's in the middle, m is greater than negative 6. All right. Same idea here. We're going to be working with some coefficients, some multiplication, and some division. So looking at number 1, we're going to write our two equations. It's going to be 6n is less than or equal to 18, and then 6n is greater than or equal to negative 18. All right, divide both sides by 6. I end up with n is less than or equal to 3. Over here, divide both sides by 6. I end up with n is greater than or equal to negative 3. So what that is going to look like is I'm going to put a filled in circle on 3 and a filled in circle on negative 3. Since it's the numbers that are smaller than 3, I'm going to go to the left. Since it's the numbers that are bigger than negative 3, I'm going to go to the right, which means they're going to go in the center. So this is an and situation. So n is less than or equal to 3 and n is greater than or equal to negative 3. All right, I'm going to help you with the one below. This time it's division. So n divided by 4 is less than or equal to 3. Over here, n divided by 4 is greater than or equal to negative 3. All right, times 4 on both sides. I end up with n is less than or equal to 12. Over here, times 4 on both sides. I end up with n is greater than or equal to negative 12. All right, so these are going to be filled in circles at 12 and negative 12. Because it's the number smaller than 12, I'm going to go to the left. Because it's the numbers bigger than negative 12, I'm going to go to the right. So that means our line is in the middle, and this is an and situation. So n less than or equal to 12, and n is greater than or equal to negative 12. All right. Let's get a bit more complicated. So looking at number 5 on the next page, we can see that in this situation, the 5 is on the outside. So we're going to deal with that first, and I'm going to move it to the other side. So because it's plus 5, I'm going to do minus 5 on both sides. And when I do that, I end up with the absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 6. Well, that would mean that it has to just rewrite our two equations. So it's going to be x is greater than or equal to 6. And x is less than or equal to negative 6, okay? These are our two equations. I don't actually have to solve anything. I already have my numbers. So I'm going to put a dot at 6. Now, because it's the numbers that are greater than or equal to 6, I'm going to go toward the bigger numbers. Over here, I'm going to put a dot at negative 6. And since it's less than, I'm going to go toward the smaller numbers, which means we have an or situation here. So x is greater than or equal to 6, or x is less than or equal to negative 6. Okay, the one to the side is just like this. Okay, I'm going to help you with number 10. First things first, move that minus 3 to the other side, so plus 3 on both sides. When we do that, we get the absolute value of x minus 4 is less than 8. Now we have to write our two equations. So x minus 4 is less than 8. X minus 4 is greater than negative 8. All right, plus 4 on both sides. We end up with x is less than 12, plus 4 on both sides. We end up with x is greater than negative 4. Okay, these are going to be open circles, so I go ahead and put it at 12 and negative 4. And because it's the number smaller than 12, it's going to go to the left, and the number is bigger than 4, it's going to go to the right. So it's an and situation, so x is less than 12, and x is greater than negative 4. All right, let me help you with another. We're going to look down below at 13. Okay, 13, same idea. There's nothing on the outside I have to deal with, so I'm just going to rewrite my two equations. I end up with 10p minus 4 is less than 34, and 10p minus 4 is greater than negative 34. All right, move that 4 over. By adding it, I end up with 10p is less than 38. Divide both sides by 10. I get p is less than 3.8. Okay, over here, plus 4 on both sides. I end up with 10p is greater than negative 30. Divide by 10 on both sides. I get p is greater than 3. Okay, so since it is greater than 3 and smaller than 3.8, that means that both of our numbers are going to be right up here. They're going to be open circles and just right there in between. So we're going to write down here, p is less than 3.8 and p is greater than 3. Okay, I know these are complicated, but you will be able to do this. All right, I want to skip to the last part of this, go down to the bottom. Let's go ahead and do 26. Let's do the last one, okay? Let's move the 3 over first, so plus 3 on both sides. When we do that, we end up with 9, absolute value 1 plus 8n is greater than 81. Okay, now there's a 9 out front. It's multiplication, so the opposite is division. I'm going to divide both sides by 9, and I'm going to end up with the absolute value of 1 plus 8n is greater than or equal to 81 divided by 9 is 9. All right, so now I can set up my two equations, or my two inequalities, which is 1 plus 8n is greater than or equal to 9, and 1 plus 8n is less than or equal to negative 9. All right, then you're just going to go through and solve it like that. Okay, I'll put my notes up. Talk to you guys later.